I can hear you now.
Okay. I just said that since it's sine, I just followed the unit circle to 7 pi over 6. And then since it's sine, it's a y value, so it would be 1/2.
Is it positive or negative? Because it should be like right here, right?
Yeah, it would be negative.
Yeah, so we have negative 1/2 right here. Very good. And the lucky winner is Caroline. Can you do cosine of pi over 3 for me?
So I looked at pi over 3 and I put 1/2.
So let's look at pi over 3. Pi over 3 is the one up here, right? Because it's the bigger angle.
Yeah.
Okay. And now if I look at this triangle, this is my x value and this is my y value. Oh, you said 1/2, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you. Okay, good. What questions do you guys have? Okay, if there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and do our summary on the investigation. How did the investigation go for you guys? Were there questions on the investigation, on any of the graphs? Did you guys have any trouble? Anybody, anything?
I was getting confused on like where did the part get shifted to, like the last part. I had a partner set it straight for me because I was like way off, but that part definitely broke my brain for a second.
Okay, so which direction did the graph shift and by how much?
No, the last question. Like where did the maximum or the origin get shifted to?
Oh, where did the maximum from the original cosine parent function get shifted to? So you would look at like the phase shift part and the vertical shift part and the amplitude part, right? And see how much it stretched and then translated up, down, left, or right. Right?
Yeah.
Were you able to figure out the final answer in the end?
I think so.
Okay.
Where is my thing? Here it is. Was that like a what is the answer, Sam question, or just a general question?
No, you do not have to give the answer.
Okay.
Unless somebody needs it. Do you guys need to go through any of these answers to try to compare? Okay. So if not, we'll just go ahead and go through our summary, I guess. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So our summary. Oh, and now it's all blurry. Hold on. Okay, so there are a couple things we need to go through. So first, I want to write out our two equations. We have y equals a sine, and with the variables inside of them. So x minus c plus d, and then I'm going to do another one for cosine. Okay, we're going to go through what each of these variables represents. Okay. So the first thing I want to go through is the amplitude A. So we kind of already talked about this part in the vocabulary. All right, our amplitude was represented by this. So in the vocabulary, we showed it on the graph, right? We looked at what it looked like, but now we're like showing it on the actual function. So our amplitude was represented by this A, is what you should have found in your investigation. All right, and this is a vertical stretch. Or compression by whatever value A is. Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you should have found out by going through the investigation is that that was the part that, hold on, I'm sorry. Let me see if this don't have enough space. There we go. Okay. So that's what you should have found from the investigation. Get rid of this ladybug thing. Okay, questions on that? Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is this variable b. What do you guys think happened? What did b do?
I think it alters the frequency.
Yeah, kind of like how often it goes through a period, right?
Yeah.
So the relationship between this and our period is going to be that our period is equal to 2 pi over that b value. Okay, so that's the relationship there. All right, and this will also kind of do a horizontal. So this was vertical, it stretches it up and down. This one makes it, it's like it makes a tighter or looser spring, if that makes sense. So this is a horizontal stretch or compression by some value. And the value here is going to be 1 over b. Okay. So it changes the period by horizontally stretching or compressing the function to make it happen more often, make the period happen more often or less often within a given spot. Questions on that little part? Okay, so the next thing is C. Oops, a big blue mark. Well, okay. C represent, what did you guys think? What did C end up doing?
That's the vertical shift, or the horizontal shift, sorry.
Yeah, we call it a phase shift. Okay, so X minus C is going to shift right. Okay, when it's inside of the function itself, it kind of does the opposite of what you would think. And X plus C, and it's right C units. It's going to shift left. C units. All right, so this is our phase shift. And I kind of want to draw what this looks like. So on a cosine function, you start at a max or a min for a cosine function. So maybe we have something like this. This is cosine. This value right here is how far we shifted to the right. That's our C value. So that shows us how much our phase shift happened. Okay. Similarly with a sine function, sine starts at a midline. Okay. Our phase shift moved us this far, okay, at this C value. This is our sine function. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, so questions on phase shift. All right, and this last one should be fairly straightforward. What did the plus D do? Ethan.
Move the graph up.
Good. And so what piece of the graph, like what from our vocabulary did it change? Like of these 4 things, what did it change?
But
Can you say again that your computer broke up?
the midline.
Okay, very good. The midline, yeah. So up here, y equals d is going to be what our midline is. That's the equation of our midline. So y equals our midline value. Okay, and this is going to be a vertical shift by some number of units. And the number of units we can get from the value of d. Okay? So this is how all of those different vocabulary words we went over before the investigation relate to the actual variables within the function. What questions do you have about these before we move on to figuring out how to get a function from just the graph? Okay, if there are no questions, then we're going to move on to our little Desmos investigation. Okay, or not Desmos investigation. I'm going to do some demonstrations with Desmos, trying to figure out what a function is from the graph. Okay, so I am going to, let me find my mouse. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so that I can also have Desmos up. Don't look for a second because the function is over here and I need to put it to the side so you can't see. There we go. Okay, so we have our function here. This is our very first one. All right, and so I want us to try to figure out what the function is from that graph. This is what your partner work is going to be and your homework is going to be on today. So we really need to figure this out. Okay, so why isn't my notebook showing up on here? There we go. Okay, so we need to do some work to try to figure out what this function is. All right, so what do you guys think is the easiest thing to find first in one of these functions?
I would say midline.
Okay, good. So how do you find your midline when you're looking for it?
Well, how I would do it was you find like where the maximum and the minimum are, and you find like how far apart they are.
Good.
And so by calculating that distance, like you could find like the middle point between them.
Good. So let me add some labels on our Desmos graph. I'm going to do factors of pi over 4 on the bottom, and I'm going to do multiples of 1 on the top or on the y-axis to try to make it. Why didn't it do it? Come on. Oh, that's why. Because I put it in the wrong spot. Pi over 4. Get this out of there. Step here, I want it to be 1. Get that out of there. Okay, here we go. So now we can see our tick marks along the bottom and how many we have up and down. So Heath, our maximum is at 5, our minimum is at -1. So where do you think our midline is going to end up?
Our midline would be at y equals 2.
Very good. So our midline ends up being at y equals 2. So y equals 2, which means that our d value in our function should be 2 as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, thank you very much, Heath. Let's see, wait, somebody was trying to get in a second ago. Let me check. Oh, Ruby's trying to get back in. Okay. Hopefully that let her in. All right, so now we need to find the next easiest thing. So Alston, can you tell me maybe what do you think is the next easiest thing to figure out from this?
Whether it is a sine or cosine function.
Good, yeah. Is it sine or cosine? What do you think it is?